Good afternoon, everybody. I'm Tommy O'Brien, coming to you live for TFNN Friday afternoon, 3 p.m. Eastern Time, final hour of the trading week. And we got markets trying to go green right now as I speak. You talk about clawing it back. We're a good 56 points off the lows right now, even more. Taking that tail low, you were as low as 58.53. Yeah, what is that? 47, 57. 63 points, 1% off the lows in the S&P, just like that. We're coming right back to where we were, and you talk about a technical high right where we were before all the fun began this morning at 8 a.m. with the first tweet talking about China from the president. You get back up there at 10:30, and we're right back up there again. You talk about a two-way market. Man, we get the S&Ps nonetheless only negative by 5 points right now, trading at 59.17. NASDAQ 100 not quite back up to that level like we see in the S&Ps. NASDAQ 100 negative by 0.3% or 66 points in the red, 21,342. How about the Dow? Above those highs. The Dow up by 0.2%, up by 83 points at 42,350, and the Russell negative by 3 points. Pretty critical area technically as well for the Russell, sitting right there at 2,074. Bitcoin pulling back from its highs, off about $1,000, trading at 105 grand and $310. Crude, as I mentioned at that update, 59 handle briefly at 12.30. We've clawed back some of that at 60.72. Gold off $26 right now at 33.17. We briefly got a 2,900 handle. Check that out on gold, briefly under 3,300. And you back that up in gold, just chopping around two ways this week from about 32.80 to 33.50, the upper boundary. And you check in on yields, the all-important yields going on right now. We get the 10-year at about 4.42, 10 years at 4.42, and we get the DXY sitting at about 99.33 off of the highs of 100. And yeah, gold down about $26. You jump over to silver right now, down about 32 pennies to 33.09 for silver. Check in on copper briefly. Copper trading at 4.69. All right, some of the movers out there. Tesla, yeah, down about 2% right now. How about Gap, right? Down 19%. Some of the movers out there. My goodness. You talk about it. Especially on, you look at Abercrombie and Fitch. Right? They accelerate to 105. I was talking about them Wednesday on the morning program. Their Hollister brand just growing exponentially. And then you jump over to Gap. And boy, that is a tough week indeed. From 28, you're trading at 22. You're down 19% for Gap right now. All right, we jump over to the story of the day. So the tweet begins at 8 in the morning. Trump accuses China of violating preliminary trade deal. So much for being Mr. Nice Guy, Trump wrote, etc. as it goes. Just trying to get the exact one up there. There it is. Has totally violated its agreement. So that kicks things off. Then you get that the U.S. plans a wider China tech sanctions with subsidiary crackdowns. Okay. They're going to broaden the restrictions on China's tech sector with new regulations that would impose U.S. government licensing requirements on transactions with companies majority owned by already sanctioned firms. That makes sense, right? If they're majority owned by a sanctioned by a majority owned company by an already sanctioned firm, yeah, it makes sense. And then you get the wraparound where it goes, Trump now wants to speak to Xi, and they violated the big part of the agreement, but he expects to speak to the President Xi and work out the issues, but tensions are high, right? I'm sure I'll speak to President Xi, and hopefully we'll work that out. So there's always like good cop, bad cop in the mix, and the market reacts, and that's where we are. You check out some of the volumes right now. On the S&Ps, we're going to get some volume today, I imagine. We got 1 hour left to go on the trading day. But you're talking about the last trading day of the week and of the month today. Okay, you're coming in right now, and we've done about 1.15 million shares contracts on the S&P. And we got a full hour of trading. And it's been a roller coaster of a day. NASDAQ 100, you jump over. 455,000 contracts so far. Above where we were Wednesday, but we got some work to do. But we probably will. We'll probably do 100,000 in the final hour, when you add in the monthly totals as we're coming into the end. So this is going to be an important day. Now, on a more broad perspective, risk reward wise in this market, right? You have volume off the top here yesterday. Okay, that's the most volume we've had since May 21st, which was volume off the top as well. Those 2 days are the two biggest volume days since you accelerated to 21,000 on the NASDAQ 100, which was May 12th, 18 days ago. Since then, the only 2 days with volume are the selling of May 21st and the selling of yesterday. And we're probably going to get it today as well. And look where we are. That zone we've been talking about that we traded from February 27th to about March 17th, just massive volume. Haven't seen anything like it since the lows around April 4th. S&P, pretty similar action. Right to the top of this range, which is at about 6,000, right where you began, February 26th, February 27th. You trade lower with sustained volume of about 2 million contracts. And again, I know I've been talking about it a lot, but boy, there's no such thing as coincidence, as they say. It's an art, not a science, folks. Doesn't mean the market can't just pull some animal spirits. We get some good numbers, AI productivity across the board, and you blow past it. But technically, this is a very difficult area for this market right now, and it's correlating to this massive selling wall from late February coming in to March 16th, and that's right at 6,000. And we haven't done more than, 1.7 million contracts since April 10th. We were doing more than that every single day for 3 weeks. And that's the wall of volume that we're trying to get through right now in this market, and they can't do it. So pay attention, because risk reward wise, you check out the NASDAQ 100. And yeah, you're talking about an area that we have a top side here of 21,858. So yeah, you got 2.5% to the upside. But man, the pressure when we're over this line here, and we got a bottom boundary there of about 19.5, and we're sitting at 21,300 right now in the NASDAQ 100. All right, we check out some chip stocks. Talking China, NVIDIA. Yeah, they don't want to hear that. Down by 3% right now. NVIDIA shares to 135.08. You jump over to AMD. Down about 1.9%. Dell with their numbers after the bell last night. Little volatility, 2.2% to the downside right now for Dell. Some of the other tech stocks, look at Oracle, up by 1.4%. Salesforce down by 1.1%. Amazon shares down by about 0.4%. Stay tuned. We'll come right back, folks.